Mickey Talks.
Hey, everybody, it is Mickey Talks. I'm really hoping this works well. Unable to start.
You're
Same
kidding me.
thing.
No,
Oh, Christ.
we're
done
live
for the day.
We're live everywhere else.
All right.
All right, we'll do it. We'll post it on your Facebook later. We're on your
I bet
your,
that
your
crashes
fan
too.
page. You think?
Yeah. It's
All right. Let's see what happens. I always tell people this show, man. Like the last seconds before we go on, my favorite movie franchise is Back to the Future, and it's that moment when Doc Brown has the cable and he can barely make it work, and that's us before we go on every day.
Yeah, I just don't understand this. Like,
One day it won't be like that.
It's such a bummer, dude. It's such a bummer.
It's all right. We'll get there, man. We'll get it out to everybody.
Yeah. I'm pissed, dude. Like, I can't even hide it.
Don't be pissed, man.
I hear you.
It's on your fan page. It's on my Facebook. We're streaming live to YouTube. And of course, we're going to push it out to all the platforms later as well.
What I'm going to do right now is go over to my other page and see if that's on. You know what I mean? Just to see if it's even working.
Yeah. I'm going to thank our sponsor in the meantime. Can I do that?
Yeah, you can do anything you like,
Barnes Paving. Yes, thank you guys so much. We love Barnes Paving, barnespaving.com, or you can call 443-243-3710. They can meet all of your paving and asphalt needs. They deliver exceptional service at low prices. And right now, when you mention Mickey Talks, you'll get 10% off at Barnes Paving. They are MHIC licensed and insured and accredited with the Better Business Bureau. No job too big or too small. They'll do everything from patches on residential driveways to full site work and paving on commercial projects like parking lots as well. They service your area. Just check it out. BarnesPaving.com. That's BARNES. Paving.com. You can call 443-243-3710 to get a free consultation now. And make sure, once again, you mention Mickey Talks to get 10% off at Barnes Paving, and let them help you with all your paving and asphalt needs.
Yeah, I am really trying to get everybody organized right now on Facebook because people are like driving me crazy right now. Everything's blowing up. People wanting to know what's going on. So I'm just trying to get it straight. I apologize to everybody, but
just breathe, dude. Just take a breath.
You know, it's the little things in life.
Start the show.
It's the little things. But anyway, Mike Moran, my good friend and comedian,
yes, sir,
is with me. Mike and I met we met through comedy, but then we really spent a lot of time together when I was, what was that, around 2016, 17?
I think 17 is when we did the radio show, which is crazy to think that was 8 years ago.
Yeah, it really was.
Everything you think is 3 years ago
was
like
8
years ago.
Yeah, it's wild.
Scientists have just confirmed that, I think.
Mike, I always enjoyed your company, buddy.
Thanks, man. You too.
I find you to be a really great dude to be around. You're easy to talk to, and you're a talented guy.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So tell us, Mike, what have you been up to? I know the Confessional,
yes, that's a podcast.
Now, explain what your podcast is really about.
Well, I for some reason I started asking people questions on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Just what's the scariest story that happened to you? What's an urban legend from usually of the spookier variety,
Yeah.
And that became a thing. And so we turned it into a podcast, and we read hopefully listeners, people who write in. We read their confessions, quote unquote.
Now, what
and
kind
we
of
discuss them.
What do people write in about? Has anybody written, "Hey, I murdered somebody"?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that right? Years ago, yes. Yeah.
Shoot.
I don't think we read that one on the podcast, but on the Facebook page, yes, there was a
I murdered.
Not murder, but killed someone.
And what happens? Do the police end up getting involved?
No, it was completely. It wasn't a murder. It was a self-defense killing, from what I remember.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, but so he came clean. He wanted to come clean and talk about it on the podcast.
No, this was when we were just doing it on Facebook, and I never asked him if we could discuss it on the podcast. I figured that might be a little too sensitive for something that's relatively comedic in nature.
Yeah, you mean for the show.
But yeah, he said he lives in Texas, so he did what they do in Texas when someone's stealing your car.
Yeah, you just shoot them.
Yep.
Right? Isn't that how you do it?
Apparently.
I would kill somebody if they were trying to steal my car.
Right.
How about you?
Well, I would hopefully use non-lethal force, but I would feel justified in using force. Yes.
Pussy, Mike. Come on. You got to kill people every now and then, don't you?
Yeah, when it comes to homicide, I will
You
admit
draw
I'm
the
a
line.
bit of a softie.
Call me a baby, but I don't want to kill anybody. Mike, one of the things I always enjoyed with you is you have this very calm demeanor about you most of the time.
Right.
And you and I have shared battles of depression and
Sure.
that stuff. But I find you you're one of those guys that's like always really chill, but like at the same time, you're really you're in the moment all the time. Like
Really?
I find that
I try
you.
to be. But
I find that with you. I really do. Like,
thank you.
yeah, I mean it. Like
I try to be, but I think that's overcompensation for being the opposite. You know what I mean?
You think it's fake?
Well,
I'm
if you put it
not
that
being
way.
funny.
I
mean,
think
you think you force it?
I think one of the best things about being a human being is that the things that you are bad at, you can get good at, and sometimes you become really good at because.
Wait a minute. Say that again. The
things that you suck at as a human,
right?
Unlike other animals, we have the opportunity to get better at.
So
sometimes you overcompensate and become great at the things that you're terrible at.
Yeah.
And
right.
maybe that's what's going on with me.
So you've become great at being in the moment.
According to you.
So now your podcast.
Yes.
Is that by you? Do you have a regular co-host?
I kind of we actually have a little bit of a tradition where whoever was a guest before and is coming back is now the co-host and not the guest, which makes no sense. It's essentially two guests. Like you get to be honorary co-host if you've been on the podcast before.
Oh, so if it's my second time, I'm your co-host.
Right. And you have been on it years ago when we were kind of getting started.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Did you confess anything?
I don't know.
I think it had to do with how explicit can we be on this podcast?
100%.
Okay, awesome. I think it had to do with a man masturbating when you were a kid.
Yep. It wasn't exactly a man, but it was maybe someone of the cloth.
What?
Oh, wow,
no.
really?
Yeah.
Not in this story. This story
I may
you
have
told
painted
me.
the story I told you.
It was like soccer practice or
Right.
something. There's
You're talking about the bank lot.
Apparently, this has happened multiple times.
Well, there's another story. Okay, what you're talking about is what was a public event. We used to play soccer on this bank lot on my corner.
Yeah.
After 5 p.m. I'm not lying. One day, a guy drove up.
Right.
Got out of his car, walked to the wall of the bank.
Right.
Whipped it out. And just started enjoying
Right.
himself.
Wow. Well, you're an attractive guy, dude.
Right. Well, was that for you children, or did he have a grudge against this bank?
Well, here's what happened. We all started going what the? We're like 14,
Sure.
Yeah.
13.
Right.
And Coco's Pub was directly across the street. And like a bunch of my uncle's friends and stuff hung out in there.
Oh, the crab cake. People love the crab cake.
So,
there, man.
yeah. But this is actually right before they became renowned crab cake people. However, this guy's doing his business. We start kicking balls at him. Like, get out of here, you weirdo. Right. And then all of a sudden, a couple dudes walked out of the bar.
You're how old at this point?
Like 12 to 14.
Ugh.
I don't remember
Is
exactly.
he facing you or the bank?
He was facing the bank, but where we were, we
Maybe
were
he's just pissed off at the bank.
no, because he was smiling. Like, it was weird, man. And then we chased him to his car. Because he had parked at the other end.
So you guys didn't think it was funny. You guys were freaked out.
Yeah,
angry.
man.
Yeah,
Some dude pulls up in broad
Right.
daylight.
Sure.
What year was
No,
it?
that's
79,
That's
80?
creepy.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
But I can see
Why
a
would the
young
year
Mickey.
make a difference? I'm pretty
I'm
sure
just trying
it's
to
just
put
as
it
creepy anyway.
Well, I'm just saying,
Oh, this is 2005. It's fine.
yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
I
but
can
no, I
just
don't mean
see
it
a
like that.
young Mickey taking this as an opportunity to cut up on the guy.
No, this was a little over
You
my.
could have roasted him.
Yeah, I could have, but I think it was a little over my.
Sure.
Whatever you want to call that,
Right.
improbability.
So as you're chasing this guy back to his car, is he still
No,
in
he-
the act, or is he?
I got to tell you something else too. We all remember this, the 5 or 6 dudes that were there.
You get
Massive.
together every year at Coco's.
Yeah. And it was massive. The thing was seriously.
Oh my god.
Well, you were young at the time, so
No,
perspective
dude.
wise.
No, dude. 11 is 11, no matter how old you are. And it was crazy. But I remember that. Well, I do remember that story. But there's another story I'll tell you at a different time.
Wow. No, I see. You and I both went through the church
Mhm.
as kids. I don't know about you, Mike, but
No.
yeah.
I mean, I went to. We had a Catholic church where I grew up that we
Yeah.
belonged to. There was actually the only Catholic church in town. Shout out to Harrisonburg, Virginia. But I didn't go to Catholic school.
Yeah, we were both Catholic school vets. Luckily, I got out unscathed,
Yeah.
even though there were some people from our parish who did not.
Well, I will say
ended
this.
up arrested.
I will say this. I've
Yeah.
never really said it publicly before, but a priest who was later fired at a different school,
Was he featured on the show The Keepers?
nobody should have been.
Okay.
Turn your phone down, Mick.
It is. My phone down?
Yeah, I was hearing something.
I don't know. Mine's off. For real.
All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt
you know what? It might have been the studio phone.
Ah,
Did we get a text from the studio? I don't know. Anyway, going back to this thing, it was bizarre. Like I was told to watch something.
Whoa. Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I had to watch a priest masturbate.
what?
That's what I'm saying.
Wow,
100%.
that's awful, man.
I was in the 7th or 8th grade.
Jeez.
In what context?
So here's what happened.
Not that there's any context that makes sense. for
No,
that.
right, of course.
Here's what happened. Sunday morning mass was 7 a.m. mass. And I was an altar boy. So I get to church about 20 of 7 because you got to set up, you got to get the Eucharist and the wine
Sure.
ready, and you put the stole out for him and everything, and you put your robe on. And it was like 3 minutes of 7 and no one's there. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So attached to the church was the rectory.
Right.
And I walked over, knocked on the door.
That's where the priest lives, by the way, for
Yes.
people that don't know.
And one of the priests came to the door and said, "What's up?" And I was like, "Church starts in a minute." And he chuckled and he goes, "You forgot to change your clock last night." So I was an hour early.
Oh, okay.
You follow me?
Okay, so yeah, he was just getting there
So
then.
yeah, he said, so we got an hour. And I was like, okay. He goes, well, come on in. I'll make breakfast. Now you got to understand when you're that age.
He invited you in the rectory, like his
Yeah,
home?
I mean, but that was like, I went to school, like
Sure.
we would go into the rectory.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
You know.
So I sit down, he starts cooking, and then he says, we're gonna eat in the other room. So I go in there, and then he just started talking to me about things, and he asked me if I ever kissed girls, and then he flat out asked me if I've ever masturbated. And I was like, I don't remember if I answered. I don't remember. I think I was petrified.
I bet.
And he said, we all do. And then he was like, it's good. God wants us to. He's like, that's even something we could share.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that, bro.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I mean, I didn't say it like that. I was like, I don't think I said anything.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, here, I'll show you. And wow. And man, it's weird to talk about like this.
Yeah.
And he took it out and did his thing. And then told me that we shared a moment together, like made it about God. It was fucked up.
That
man.
seems to be the move for them too. They'll make it about
Right.
So
God.
I was basically told that this was like, and I'm paraphrasing,
Sure.
but it was like a rite of passage for young
Wow.
men to watch another man
Yeah.
do that.
I mean, how did you went and you did church after this with
Yeah,
him?
man. And never
Whoa.
Did he give you
never-
the whole "we don't talk about this" thing? Or?
He basically said to the effect of, this is something special you and I have shared.
Right.
There's no reason for anyone else to know.
Oh.
You've done it. Like, it was kind of like, okay.
Wow.
And I was petrified to tell my father
Yeah.
because I know my father would have walked right in the rectory
Right.
and beat him to death.
Yeah. Did
Like,
you want
not
that
an
to happen,
ass
though?
whooping, not an ass whooping. My
Yeah.
father would have killed him.
Wow.
So I basically never said a word.
Mm.
And then I started telling some people about, I don't remember how long, maybe 7, 8 years ago, I started talking about it just because it had like stuck in my head
Yeah.
for so long.
Mm.
And then you want to hear something ironic?
Hmm.
About a month ago, I'm driving. Now, I will say this, and I'm not even going to say the piece of shit's name, but a lot of people know who he is, and fuck that guy.
Is he dead now?
I hope so. And if he's not, I hope he drops dead tonight. Like, I'll feel zero remorse. And the worst part about the whole fucking thing for me, I'm actually getting mad thinking about it.
Sure.
Because Father Burke, who was the Monsignor of the church, was one of the greatest men I have ever met in my life. And I give him more credit for me never doing drugs and drinking as a young guy than anybody. I was having a tough time in school one day, and he came into it was 8th grade, and he came into school. I was just a fucker. Like, I would just disrupt the class for laughter.
Yeah.
Every day.
Oh, he was the guy that allowed you to do that, right?
No. That's an earlier story, but I'll explain that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, one day, Mike, he walks in, he goes, and he had a voice that sounded like God. But this was a great man. I'm not kidding. He literally, he's like, Michael, in the back of the class, and I turn around, and he's like, come on. And I go, okay, Father Burke said, get up. You jumped. It goes God, Jesus, Father Burke.
Right.
You remember in Catholic school?
Of course.
The head priest is next to Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
So he said, come on. I got my coat. We go outside. We get in his car. He said, come on. We're going to Jack's Corned Beef. You remember that on Lombard Street?
Absolutely. Remember the commercials and all.
Yeah. So, it was probably a little before you, Mike.
They had a song and everything.
Yeah,
man.
It was a big Jewish deli. It was fucking awesome. Anyway, we go there, and he gets me a corned beef sandwich. And it was my first, corned beef sandwich from there. And he looks me dead in the face and he said, what do you want to do in your life? And I said, I don't know, Father Burke. I don't know what I want to do. And he said, you're a talented young man and everybody loves you, but you're very disruptive. And these kids here need to learn and you need to learn. So we're going to come up with something where you can kind of figure out a way to do it. And then he just talked to me about drugs and alcohol and sex, but in a way that was not like a priest. He was like, look, I think this, he said to me, you're going to be some kind of entertainer, I think. And if you're going to get into that life, you got to watch out for some things. Drugs, alcohol, and sex can destroy you.
Yeah.
And he had a really great talk with me. And it stuck with me. I don't know how else to put it. Anyone that knows me, I mean, I've been drunk in my life like any guy, but I'm not a drinker. Yeah. I never did hard drugs in my life, smoked some pot, but I was never in crisis over drugs or alcohol ever in my life. And a lot of that is because of Father Burke. Now, getting back to that piece of shit human being, was a very loved member of the community. And then he went on to a high school. And then he was fired for fucking boys. Wow. Right? Yeah. I believe that's what he did. And I'm sorry I'm talking so harsh, but it's harsh.
No, it's awful, man.
It's terrible. Yeah. And so the ironic part is a month ago, I'm driving in my car, and I swear to you, I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about my sons and what I would have done. And I know I would kill somebody. Yeah. Right? And then I got really upset because I thought to myself, I've never really dealt with this. I've never
told your shrink or anything.
So as I'm driving, I told a shrink who told me basically, I didn't like this therapist. I hid it from my favorite therapist. I hid it from everyone. I was freaked out.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm talking about it right now.
Let me ask you before you
shocked that I am.
Before you get to today, therapist.
Yeah.
What happened like when you had another 7:00 mass with this guy? I mean, did you ever do a church with him again?
Yeah, man.
You never missed another daylight savings time. Sharp as a tack with that ever since.
I needed that laugh right there so bad.
It made me very punctual.
The fucked up part about it, though, Matt, if you're real about it, is that children. And look, you're a young teenager growing up in the city. Don't get me wrong. I knew what everything was by that age. I knew all the sex acts. I knew the drugs. I knew the alcohol. I knew everything. But there was an innocence to you at that age.
Sure.
Of course.
All of us. I think about my friends, Yeah. And I'm driving in my car that day and I started crying. And I mean, like, that ugly man cry, like where you can't catch your breath. And I was so fucking angry. And I swear to you, an ad comes on the radio. Did you have molestation from the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I remember that whole
Yeah.
campaign.
So this is literally a month ago.
Yeah.
I hear it. So finally, I wrote the number down.
Wow.
And then last week, Matt, during the day here, I called, and the lawyer was really nice. And guess what he said? You just missed the deadline.
What?
The Catholic Church filed bankruptcy. I didn't even want money. Like, I didn't give a fuck about money. I just
What do
kind
you
of
mean
wanted.
I know they
I swear
filed
to God.
bankruptcy,
And
and
they're-
they're selling a bunch of their properties right
so
now.
apparently, you had to have the lawsuit in by a certain time.
Well, with that lawyer, but you could call somebody else.
Listen,
you know.
if there's a lawyer out there that wants to take on a case because a 12-year-old boy or whatever I was had to watch a priest masturbate because that was going to help me with my relationship with God. So if you want to take that case, get a hold of me.
Well, what do you want then? Just
I
to be
just
heard?
wanted the Catholic Church to know that I know.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
That's
Some
kind of
acknowledgments. Some.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Because it's been fucking eating me alive
Yeah.
for 3 weeks now, where I'm just like, I can't fucking believe this.
Yeah.
Like some technicality, and I don't get hurt.
And you don't know where the guy is or if he's still alive or
I don't know.
anything.
I know he got arrested and he went to jail.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he got out. I hope if he did, he gets hit by a fucking
Yeah.
bus, and I hope he gets struck by lightning when he's laying there, and then the lightning has AIDS in it.
Did you
Like,
ever,
I hope the worst shit in the world happens to that.
Did you ever think about, like, as an adult? I mean, did you ever think about going to talk to him for?
I would have fucking killed him.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was very long after I was an adult that he was arrested. I can't remember the timeline exactly, but there was it was fucking brutal, man.
But you did church with the guy again, and he never ever brought any of that up or attempted anything with you again.
No, it was weird as shit.
Well, you probably tried to stay away from him as far as.
No,
being
I
alone,
really
right?
couldn't because I mean I was an altar. In fact, there was me and another
You got assigned as an altar boy to whatever.
whatever
my
mass
God.
it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and not only that, I was like, me and another kid were the head altar boys. Remember, they had the two guys that would do the
You're the headliners.
Well, we trained the younger altar boys.
Right.
Yeah.
I forget what grade you had to be in, 5th or 6th, to become an altar boy. And then, so I guess I'm in the 8th grade at this point,
Right.
7th or 8th grade. I know that. And, and so like, and here's the fucked up part, man. I won the religion award at my 8th grade graduation. Like, I got a Bible signed by Cardinal Sheehan. Like, I won the Archdiocese religion award.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't
Like-
know what order you're talking about, but that's crazy.
So at 8th grade graduation, they gave out an Archdiocese award,
Huh.
and it was like excellence in religion.
Yeah.
I won. I was the worst fucking student in my class.
Oh.
You can ask anyone, but religion, I've always loved religion.
Yeah.
The history of it.
Yeah, me too.
And so I was great at it.
Right.
And it fucked me up, man, and then when I got to be about 21 is when I told God to go fuck himself because of all that. And then lately I kind of like, all right, it wasn't God's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the Catholic Church, and
Yeah.
it's fucking horrible, but it's something that I've sat on for a long fucking time, and I can't believe I just came out with it today. I had no intention. Did I
Well, it's
even?
cathartic, I'm sure, man.
Yeah,
you
it
want
is
to get it
too.
off your chest.
But
you
it's
know?
also weird,
Sure.
Yeah.
because now people are going to look at you and they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, there's that guy that watched Father, what's his name, jerk
Well,
off."
everybody, that's what all the victims think, right? And
Yeah,
that's
of
why a lot of
course.
them don't come
Yeah,
forward.
I remember
They're
after
embarrassed or
I
ashamed.
got chased by a pedophile through Double Rock Park. I remember my first.
Double Rock Park, dude.
Yep.
I escaped a pedophile.
Oh
there.
yeah, maybe it's the same guy.
I don't know. That heck couldn't have been. It
It's
couldn't have
kind
been.
of older. Pedophiles have a long shelf life, you know. It's not like they don't retire young usually. You know?
No, I do remember. It was like
They're
a.
lifers.
This
generally.
guy was probably in his 50s, and he ended up. He was walking fast, and I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" And he's like, "I want to talk to you." I'm like, "Get away from me!" And he's like, "No, we should talk. Come over here." And I'm like, no. And next thing I know, I'm like flying through the woods.
Right, that's
at Double Rock.
almost exactly what happened
It
to
was
me.
bizarre.
But the thing was, my first thought afterward was, I'm not telling anybody about that for the rest of
Yeah,
my
it
life.
was so
you know?
creepy,
Yeah.
That's,
wasn't it?
that's probably the thing with a lot of those guys is they don't even have to tell you not to say anything.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
They
so-
know you're embarrassed.
Yeah,
and
like-
I did. I decided, all right, I got to call the cops. What if he gets some other kid? You know.
Yeah.
So I did.
Well, that's
But-
what everybody should do. You know,
Right.
we hope that everybody will.
But my
have the
first
guts
thought
to do
was
that.
that's going in the vault forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't it? You know what I mean? That's how I felt. Like I for 40 years. Or
That's
whatever.
a lot of weirdos in your life, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been through some shit. People wonder why I'm fucking crazy. Like, I could sit here and tell stories for days that are true that people would just go, what the fuck? And I did it all sober and clean. And then people are like, why are you so depressed? I'm like, you fucking lived through this weirdo shit I did.
Yeah.
You know? And what was really weird, like being a young performer, like 17, 18, I ain't gonna lie, like older women were weird too, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm serious, like really
when
aggressive.
When you were how old?
Like 17,
Yeah.
18, I'd be on stage. And I'm talking about women like in their 40s, late 40s,
They
early
probably didn't know
50s.
you were 17, right?
Dude, I looked like I was 12.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I used to talk about it on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've been through some weird shit, like weird. And I'm kind of coming to grips with all of it. And there's a part of me that kind of looks back and I'm like, wow, like what a ride, you know? And it's like, I think I've experienced things that a lot of people haven't. And it jades your perspective on other things. Like when you hear people complain about things, like when I hear somebody go, oh my God, I had to do 5, 10 things today. I'm like, really? You had to do fucking chores and now you're done? I watched the priest jerk off when I was 8 or in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I was made to watch. No, it's fucking hilarious in hindsight.
Yeah.
When you talk about it, that's the only way I can talk about it.
It's shocking to me how many people I know who have similar experiences like that. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to meet very many people in this life who've been struck by lightning, attacked by a shark.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kidnapped.
I do know a guy that got struck by lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Though. I really do.
But a ton of people I know
have been molested.
Yes.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unreal. You know,
well, I don't know why it's not one of the major platforms for politicians now, because
I'll tell you why it's not.
Child sex
you know
trafficking.
why? You know
Tell
why?
me, 'cause
Because
they're
half
involved?
them motherfuckers, those pieces of shit,
I've-
have skeletons in those closets.
I've heard people say that before. Like, what do you think is happening? You mean like our government officials are wrapped up in that?
There is a high rate of like sociopathy and narcissism in politicians in general. There could be like a correlation there.
Like, you know, what's funny is people have said to me over the years, you're so insane, you'll say anything, you should run for office.
Yeah.
I have no desire to serve the public. And here's why. Because the public never does their fucking job, which is to vote properly. What the public does is sit back and go, I don't know, I'll vote for this guy, I know that name. And then you get them and you wonder why your neighborhood's a piece of shit. And it's because you elected a piece of shit. And then I get in and you guys are all looking at me and I'm like, you elected these motherfuckers. How can I fix this? You have no care about it, right? In one election, you could change everything. One election. If you I get so sidetracked when I get off on these tangents, but like I say, if you really knew who the guy that was elected for your neighborhood, your delegate, your councilman.
Yeah, people don't realize how important our local government
That's
is.
where
They pay
everything
attention to the
happens.
all the federal stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
They have no idea where, look at your tax return. You pay a county tax. You pay a city tax.
Yeah.
All that money ends up with these people.
You probably should run, man. You've got this. You've got to have incredibly thick skin to run these days. I think you've got it.
Nope, I'm not running. I'll tell you what I will do. I will fucking endorse people I believe in.
Sure.
1,000%. And I'll talk about those other pieces of shit 1,000%. Like, that's the thing I've learned. There's nothing more. There is no weapon greater than the truth.
Yeah.
There isn't one. The truth always wins. You can lie your way around it a million times. You can avoid it. You can ignore it.
You're right. You need somebody that talks like people on the street talk. Not a slick politician.
I do not think President Trump is a good person, but I think he's a great fucking president. You know why? He does not give a fuck about anything except what's best for America.
Well, that's what I'm saying about you too. You've got the thick skin to do it, and you've got people's true needs at heart.
I believe in my heart that priest is just a sick fucking person, right?
Yeah.
So suffering with depression myself, suffering with anxiety, being bipolar.
Yeah, but that's not mental illness,
Wait a minute,
man.
Right? No, you're right. Well, all that is mental
I would
illness.
say mild mental illness.
I
Right.
agree. Pedophilia is some kind of mental illness. But
So-
I'm saying you don't get depressed and become a pedophile, though.
So there is a part of me that has forgiven him.
Yeah.
Because what can I do? What am I going to smack him in his mouth? He's probably fucking 80 or whatever he is now, if he's even alive.
Yeah.
Hope his dick fell off and ended up in his own throat. You know what I
If
mean?
he went to jail, who
Yeah.
knows?
No, it's-
I think priests are protected in there, by the way.
You think?
I think they are.
Oh.
I think they're targets, even if they're not pedophiles.
Wow.
But I don't know. But I will say this, like, it's hard for me. And I'll say this to people out there, if it happened to you and you feel like you need to talk about it, let's set something up. Don't just come up to me somewhere and say, hey, man, can you talk to me about, I will meet you. I will make a phone call. I just don't let me be standing in a bar and
That's
you
not
walk
the
up.
type of thing you yell across Walmart
Right.
at someone.
Right. Hey, Mickey, I got diddled. Like,
That's him. That's the guy.
yeah, that's it, man. Same dude. But when you think back on it, I think the biggest thing, you know what really fucked me? I've never trusted people ever since. I have major trust
Well, it's
issues.
understandable, man.
It is, but not if you don't explain why. So, like, through my life in relationships, I've been very not trusting
Yeah.
and very jealous and very insecure. And a lot of people don't get it. They say, oh, you're fucking insecure. You're a baby. You're a control freak. It's like, no, I trusted the most trustworthy person on the fucking planet.
Yeah,
and they
I mean,
betrayed me.
He was an adult in your life,
Priest.
at your school, and a priest, a man of God, supposedly.
And I had to watch him rub his dick
Yeah.
for fucking 4 minutes.
Right.
Sitting in a rectory dining room, by the way. Not even a bedroom, just in the fucking dining room. Sitting there, and he's just doing it.
Wow.
Never said a word the whole time. Once he started, it does feel good, weird to talk about, though. I do worry about when I see people now. And I never touched, so we can shake hands. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not carrying anything with me.
Have you talked to your psychiatrist? Are you currently talking to your doctor about
So I mentioned it to my therapist about 9 months ago.
Okay.
I told a couple people in my life,
Yeah. So you kept
Family
this in
and
for a
very-
long time.
40 some years, 43, 44 years. Yeah.
Even amongst
No one knew until within 2-3 years, maybe. I told the first person.
Do you
Wow.
remember
I can
interactions
So you
after
gotta
that
do
that
it.
you had with
Yeah.
this priest?
I remember one
did you
time.
just put it out of your head, just pretend like it didn't happen? type
No,
thing?
no. I thought, you want to hear something fucked up?
Yeah.
For a couple weeks, I was confused. Like, did I really just become a man? Like,
Right.
was that a real thing that no one ever told me? And maybe that's the priest's job to do that, but they do it in private and no
Yeah.
one talks about it. And then I remember an older guy in the neighborhood who went to public school made a joke about priests touching little kids.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about school or something. And he was one of those guys, like, he was always kind of fucked up, either drinking or smoking weed or whatever. And I'll never forget one time he said to me, he goes, hey, man, watch them priests. Them fuckers are creepy, man. They'll grab you by the dick. Like, he just talked straight.
Was that
Like-
the first you heard of that was a thing?
I think so.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
So you didn't know that at 12.
I don't think I
guess.
really-
To me,
Yeah.
like I started learning about all that around the big scandal around early 2000s or so. Was that in the zeitgeist before that? As
early
like,
90s, there was
Not as much, but yeah.
the mid 90s was the big Boston case.
okay. So
when
there
those 5 kids in Boston came
Oh,
clean.
okay, right.
And that priest was arrested. And then the Catholic Church came forward at that point, said it was horrible. And then they did the right thing. And they moved that priest to another parish.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Instead of throwing him in a
Yeah.
fucking
Well, the
ocean
whole
with a.
thing wasn't
car
like they've
tied
done
around his
studies. It's not like a Catholic priest is more likely than
Of
anyone
course.
else who's around children.
Yeah, just as many
do it.
lawyers do it as
it's just
priests.
it's just that the Catholic Church covered it up.
Right.
Well, and not
And
only
Sinead
that,
O'Connor, we
they-
all owe an apology to.
they know
Yeah.
that they're going to have access to children, so
Right.
a lot of them gravitate towards
Well,
that.
yeah,
and
yeah.
they know that there
Right.
was there was a thing at the Vatican that basically it was a secret some kind of code. I forget what it was called, where they said they weren't going to take it to the police. We're going to handle it ourselves
Oh, my
in-house,
God.
and we're going to move them to different parishes.
How is that a solution? We'll put them around new, fresh
It's a solution
kids.
for
Like,
we're still cool here at the Vatican.
even if you do keep it in-house, and even if you don't give them the proper punishment, why move them? Like, why not at least like fire them? You know, why move them to?
Why not just call the fucking police and say, hey, this piece of shit, fuck the kid.
Yeah, we're not going to tolerate this.
Yeah,
in our
what the
it-
fuck?
it-
You're
we're,
God.
yeah,
You're the church,
yeah, we're
motherfuckers.
the church. You
You're
can't
the
do this here.
church. Like, as I sit here thinking about it, it's bittersweet for me because I think about men like Father Burke, men like Friar Fred at Curly, Brother Thomas. These men were good men, man.
Yeah.
They were honest.
Yeah, there's
Vast
a lot of
majority are.
good people.
Yeah. And, you know, they were cool dudes. You know what I mean? I remember going to confession one time and saying I touched a girl's boobs because, you know, in Catholic school,
Yeah.
You lied.
So I, yeah.
So the sin of lying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what you had to confess.
So I said I touched a girl's boobs, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to say which priest it was, and we went to open.
I thought you were going to
face.
say I won't say what boob it was.
No, we went to open face confession. I don't know if you ever did that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Without the booth,
Right.
you just go sit with them.
You sit next.
So I'm
next to them
sitting
in a
right
chair.
in front of them, yeah, and I go, I you know, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been
Right.
4 months since my last. I touched the girl's boobs, and he goes, "How'd you like it?" And I just chuckled, and I was
That's
like,
what he said to
He
you.
goes like this. This is what he said. He goes, "How'd you like it?" Right? And he smiled, and I go, and I didn't really say anything. I'm kind of stumbling. And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He goes, "Michael, we all sin, and we are all attracted to the flesh. What you did was a little early, I would say, but there's nothing wrong with what you did when you're older." And I thought, great fucking advice. He basically told me, you're going to be a heterosexual man, that women's boobs are awesome,
Sure.
but wait till you're out of school a little bit or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, past the 9th grade.
Yeah.
You know,
Does
before
the
you-
Bible even say anything about second base?
I don't think it
Seems
does.
like it's all premarital
Yeah,
sex
it's
talk.
all-
Like
if you get on first, you're
Right.
free to go.
Isn't
from
that the
there.
second commandment? Second base.
Yeah, second base. Yeah. But, you know, man, it's weird. Like, I think back on all of it. I think back on how many other kids that could have happened to.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
just like
right.
me,
Like better looking kids.
huh?
Better looking kids.
Oh, much better looking.
I'm joking.
You know, the weird thing, though, when I really think back on it, I don't know if I ever really, I don't know if it affected me in other ways. And I don't want to.
I would venture to guess.
No,
that
but
it
what I
is.
mean, when I say that, I mean, there's some things about me that aren't exactly normal, right?
Sure.
They're not, I'm not causing anyone else pain.
Right.
But like, there are things that I'll think about or I'll experience, and I'm like, I wonder if that's why.
Right.
You know? And I honestly, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on it. I lived with it long enough.
I think you got to, buddy. I mean,
Mike,
it feels good to get it out today, right?
Yeah, and I think it's enough.
I mean,
I don't need to know how bad it fucked me up. Everything's fucked me up.
I think
bad.
there's different schools of thought on that, right? I mean, some people say you go back and you dig it all up and you go through it, or the other philosophy, I guess, is you acknowledge it and you move on. And
I
and
feel
you
like
grow
I've
from it, right?
moved on from it
Yeah.
in a sense, but I also feel like there's just this part of me that's like, wait a minute, you're not getting away with it. Like, it's just
I wouldn't close
think
the door completely on
you
discussing
would or
it.
wouldn't.
I would not.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not telling you.
and I really respect your opinion on this kind of stuff.
And like Matt was saying, it's not a great idea to dwell on these things and really, drag them out and wallow in them. But it definitely needs to be acknowledged, and I think you should probably bring that up
But acknowledge to who? Myself?
to yourself and probably to your doctor.
Yeah.
It's something that should at least be talked about.
So when I brought it up to my therapist, who at that time, I not that they were bad, it's just, sometimes you don't connect. And it's a very intimate conversation. So
Right.
when I'm having it, I just remember feeling like I don't think she understands exactly how badly the mental part of, because she kept focusing on like me watching the actual act. That's what she was like thinking that was fucking me up. And It wasn't that. I don't think it was.
It was like the,
Like
more
the
breach
lighting
of
in the room?
trust, right? It was
I
more the
think
breach of
I
trust.
think it was the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the almost feeling like a prisoner.
Yeah.
Like I was
Sure.
frozen. All I had to do was stand up and leave. He didn't hold me down. He didn't say, don't get up.
No,
I
but
was
you're
just so
petrified with fear,
petrified.
of course.
This is a grown man who's
Yeah.
a priest telling me it's like a rite of passage.
Right.
And I just remembered, the worst part is he did that mass that morning.
That's what I mean. That's unbelievable that you guys went in and just did church after that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I will tell you this.
That had to be just a blur for you, man.
I remember it every single moment.
I bet.
It's
I
not
bet.
a blur. I remember it. I can remember the stuff.
I just mean your
used to
head must have been spinning like just the whole
Dude,
time.
I remember walking out of the rectory like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And there was a little chapel with millions of candles in them that you walk through to get into the back of the church where the altar is, the tabernacle and all that. So I walked through this room, and as I'm walking through it, I looked at the crucifix, and I'm sorry, it was the Virgin Mary. And I looked at the Virgin Mary, and I just remembered thinking, I guess this is okay. Like, I was just dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And then I went in and I started getting mass ready, and the other altar boy showed up. And I remember he said, "You okay?" And I was like, I just didn't.
He said that to you? Are
Yeah.
you okay?
I was like, because normally I was so like I am now, like blah, 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 blah. I made
Yeah.
everybody laugh. I was the life of the party. And I think I was really quiet. And he was like, "Dude, is everything all right?" That's what he said. He's like, "Dude, everything all right?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I just didn't sleep a lot." Like that came out of my mouth. And at that moment, I think I realized I have to lie about this. I can't. You know,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to say? No, I just had to watch him jerk off.
Right.
Like, you don't say that
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah.
And then like 10 minutes before mass, he comes over like it was nothing, puts his robe on, the stole, whatever that thing's called. And all right, boys, everything out there? Yeah, yes, Father. All right, let's go. And walked on the altar, started church, did my little thing, presented the
Then you got to go to school after that too, right?
No, this was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday.
But I do, and in fact, that Monday or Tuesday, we were off school. I don't remember why, but I was walking to the park, and I used to walk through the church lot to get to the park, and he was on the balcony, and I looked over, and "Hey, Michael," and I was like, "Hey," and just kept on going. And yeah, man, wow. I didn't plan on getting into this shit today, Mike. I'm so sorry.
That's
buddy.
all right, man. That's what I'm here for.
Wow. Mike Moran, everybody. Mike Moran.
No, I'm glad you got it out, man.
Best comedy therapist working the circuit. God, there was such great things I wanted to talk about today. But
Mike's got his band. Mike's got his
Mike.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff. He's got his your improv troupe you're doing as
Improv
well, right?
troupe. I actually do a little support group for depression and anxiety. We meet tonight on Thursdays, actually 8 p.m. on Discord.
Where's Discord?
It's on the internet.
It's
an
on
app.
Discord.
You take $6.95.
Yeah, you get off at the dis exit. Yeah. So it's a like a thing you just get on Discord. And you
Yeah,
have
it's a
your group?
meeting. It's like a virtual meeting.
Oh,
you
like
know?
a Zoom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
except
cool.
for Discord's free.
And you host it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is it? Like people go on and talk about depression?
Yeah, literally, we choose a topic every week. Sometimes I get a speaker, and we literally just talk about what's going on. Just our experience with depression and anxiety, and what's going on with.
Dude,
us
sounds
now.
like you should be the guest tonight.
Well, I can't tonight. I would love that.
I've asked you several
I know
times.
you have. And
this
you know why I
weekend.
haven't? Because I was still so depressed.
Right.
But I got to tell you, Mike, and this, I wanted to talk to you. What time do you have to get out of here? Honestly. I know you got, how long do you have?
7, probably about 7.
Oh, you can stay till 7?
I think so.
So
yeah.
6:30, 6:40 is fine.
Yeah.
You mind going a little long, Matt, or do you got to
Yeah,
get out of
we
here?
go a little bit long.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I want to spend some time with Mike.
Of course.
And not talking about the fucking P. Diddy file the whole
course.
time.
Sure.
But so one of the things, Mike, that I wanted to talk about with you especially was when I started my live depression group and you came a couple times.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it. It got weird for me because of another reason, but another one of the members got
Sure.
weird. And I stopped it because of that. But like, you've continued this for how long now? How long have you been doing this?
I think I started officially in COVID, so I guess 5
Yeah.
years.
And you've asked me many times, and I've kind of blown you off. I didn't know what to say. And the truth was, I was still struggling so bad. But the end of last year, Mike, we haven't really talked. I checked myself into somewhere.
Nice.
I got real help.
Good.
I got off medicine.
Really?
Yeah. There's one person in my life that doesn't think I should be.
How long have you been off it?
4.5 months.
Okay. Think it's all out of your system?
Oh, the medicine?
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I still have moments where I get like I can get a little bit like,
sure,
but it's triggers that do it.
Uh-huh.
And my theory was, all right, I can't mask everything with medicine anymore. I got to deal with some shit and learn how to get through it. So I've been doing that, but now I would love to do that show, Mike, because I feel like I can speak on it from a higher place than I was, because I've always spoke about depression from a low place.
Right.
And I find it more cathartic to speak about it sort of as a reflection as opposed to current.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, we discuss everything, you know, how it was, how it is now, we hope to be, the good and the bad, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
The recovery from it or the, you know, or the still suffering from it, wherever you're at. You know?
Yeah. But I'll definitely do it.
Okay. Awesome.
When's your next show? Like comedy, improv? What do you got coming up?
Man.
Music?
Saturday, we are doing the Bag Fest.
What is that?
Nico Sells does a little thing from the band Bag of Humans. He puts on a little festival every year.
So this your band?
Yes, The Lost will be playing that.
Okay.
Other than that, I would have to check.
I got some shows, Mike. I'm going to call you. I'd love to have you on.
Okay.
Get you back live with me, buddy. So, Mike, let me ask you this. How much do you do stand up now?
Not as much as I have in years past. But
do you miss it?
Not for any negative reason. I've just gotten caught up with a lot of other stuff. And I do miss it. Yeah. But I feel like I'll do it more. I just kind of just go with the flow.
You've always kind of drifted in and out of being obsessed with it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really, during COVID, I wanted to like stop and think, about comedy and how to really like. I feel like I never quite captured exactly what I wanted to be comedically.
Right.
Like when I see someone like you go up and you can just kind of riff with the audience. Whereas for me, like, it was more reciting bits and which is cool.
But you were a really good writer.
Thank you.
You are a really good writer.
And I want to always be that.
Yeah.
But I love writing bits. I love writing bits and I love writing jokes. Of course, the big problem with that today is with the internet and everything, there's like nothing new under the sun. So it's really hard to.
I battle with that too, because I see a lot of stand-up and I don't want to, because I don't want to have that parallel.
That's part of why I don't watch stand-up specials. I don't want to hear that John Mulaney does,
Although I will tell you this, I know for a fact I would never do a joke that John Mulaney does, and I love that guy.
Well, I had an incident where somebody accused me of stealing a joke from John Mulaney at one point.
Really?
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I'd been doing it for like maybe a year, and then I saw a special, and I'm like, it's kind of close, but I don't think it's too close. I was going to say,
in comedy, there's got to be multiple people kind of thinking similar lines.
I've thrown bits away because I've seen a version of it from Burr or Carlin.
Yeah,
that's a
when I was young.
My first year doing stand when you're new and your bits are like everything. Too,
oh my God,
only got
they're
few.
Pieces of gold.
Right. And I had one on the wife beater T-shirts and how casually we refer to them as the wife beaters. And I literally got calls saying, dude, I think Louis C.K. stole your bit somehow. And I'm like, he didn't steal my bit. And they're like, I don't know, man. Is it online? Like, it was not just the premise.
Yeah.
It was
word for word.
Not word for word, but the tags were very similar to it. And I don't think he stole it.
I know he did.
It was online.
Louis, I know for a fact, is like, would never. In 8 million years, steal a bit.
I think it's just very, very hard to write something completely original. Like back in the day, you could write something and not everybody would see it unless it was on TV or something. But now with the internet, everybody sees everything. So it's just really hard to.
Yeah, I've been thinking about changing saying what I do is like being a comedian to being something else, because I think I'm just really a storyteller. You know what I mean? I'm just a funny storyteller.
Yeah.
Because I watch guys like you, Mike. You craft a bit. It's worded right. I walk on stage, just start talking about shit, and however it comes out, it comes out. I released a couple clips today that are on the Michael Coachella page, the main page on Facebook. I think are funny. You
So
know, they're just
you think it's
stream of
very
conscious-
different than crowd work, or is it a form of crowd work that you
Mine?
do? Yeah.
Well, you do
I
a
can
lot of
do crowd work.
here.
I've gotten away from actually talking
really?
to people and just done more like kind of reflective stream of conscious
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm finding that to be just amazing.
Nice.
I have that kind of mind that I can talk about things as I'm speaking them in a comedic way.
Mhm.
Like I understand timing and I understand stops and pauses and like that's what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like doing that. So
Yeah, that's a great gift, man.
yeah, it's weird. It really is. Because
Yeah.
then I watch real comedians, guys that write an hour word for word, and I'm like, I could never do that. I can remember shit that I come up with,
Yeah.
but for me to sit down and write, not in my
Do you write, Mike? Do you actually write
yeah.
your bits?
Yeah, I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mike's a great writer.
Thank you. Thank
I've
you.
told you that how many times? I mean,
Many times.
yeah,
Many times.
I
yeah,
love
you gave me huge confidence.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a new comedian, it meant a lot.
yeah, I love the way Mike wrote. Mike, you had this style that was like unique, like, and I'm going to use words that probably aren't the right words, but it's
That's
just
all right.
you kind of had in the beginning, like your image was sort of like this deep thinking slacker guy. You know what I'm saying by
Yeah,
that?
I'm into that.
Yeah, and it was really interesting for me that you kind of played like this, I don't know, but
Right.
you were saying really smart shit.
Interesting. Yeah, and a lot of that was anxiety. You know,
You
a
sure?
lot of like I kind of had to adopt that character on stage because I was so nervous. I had to kind of like go to being this quiet. Kind
Yeah.
of which I feel like I've gotten out of a little bit. And I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure if
saw
that's a
you
good thing.
mature over
Yeah,
years.
because I'm getting a little more confident with crowd work and
Yeah.
everything very slowly.
Yeah.
Only been like 13 years.
Yeah.
I've gained maybe an inch or two of confidence.
That takes some guts to get up there and do that, man.
Dude, I used to almost pass out before I went on.
I used to
would-
pass out waiting to go on.
I
Like,
would feel
couldn't-
really
I
even when I
couldn't wait.
killed early on.
Yeah.
I still felt horrible for like a day afterward. Like I
Really?
felt good about it, but the anxiety was so intense that I felt terrible before, during, and way after. Like that's
Hey, Mike, I got to tell you this. You remember Rocky and Drea?
oh yeah,
They both have said hi to you, and they're so glad you're on the show
hell yeah,
and miss you and I talking to each other.
Oh,
that's the
great.
McFam.
Yeah,
You remember
that's
the
awesome,
McFam?
man.
yeah,
And,
yeah, our own fan club.
They were amazing. They've always been incredible.
Absolutely.
And when Mike and I were doing that little radio show, what was the call letters?
Q1370.
Q1370.
Yeah, man.
The
I love
pole position
driving
of
by that
radio.
Pikesville, baby.
Yeah.
Straight
But
out.
that was a fun little show that
Oh,
we
I love-
destroyed.
dude, that was an amazing
We
summer.
tripled the ratings and they fired
Still
me
got fired.
Wow. What was the reason they gave you for firing
because
you?
they were doing like, what was it called? Classic hot hits.
Yeah, it was very
70s and 80s.
I think they had a lot of old listeners calling in and being like,
What
"What
is
is going on
this?
between the hours?"
What
of-
is this? Just play the Manhattan Transfer.
Right.
There was shit like
They
that.
didn't get you.
I mean,
No.
we were bringing like strippers in.
Yeah,
and
we had
stuff.
strippers on the show.
Right.
Every
It was-
week they give us a mandate too,
Yeah.
being like, "No, you're doing this," and
Yeah.
just
And the Mangione family owned the radio station.
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
I didn't know about this.
Yeah. And
and I'm learning.
And
a
you
ton
thought it would be a
today.
good idea to bring strippers on AM radio?
well, here's the thing. When they hired me, they're like, we want you to just be you.
Yeah.
So I went in there and I was me, and they were like, not that much of you. Can you just have your voice say, here's Cameo?
Right.
Like it was something ridiculous. I couldn't think of a cheesy band. But
yeah. A lot of Hall & Oates. I remember.
yeah, a lot of Hall and Oates.
Because we would try to play the stuff that we actually liked.
Remember the
And
day?
it was a slim margin.
Yeah, like it was all satellite fed,
Right.
Yeah.
and like you'd see the break coming up 3 minutes until your 30-second break, and then there was a pause button you could hit. So as soon as the song ended, I would just hit the pause button and talk. Me and Mike would talk for
Yeah.
8 minutes,
Right.
Right.
and they were like, God, and we would take calls with like people were like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we don't know.
yeah.
We're just they
Yeah,
let
I
us in
remember
here.
one
every
guy.
day.
I love this radio station, but these two
Morons.
morons. And
Yeah.
we're sitting there like, yeah, we don't get it either.
Yeah,
we agree with you.
We don't even know why we're here. But we did. We not that the rate. We went from like 7 people to 21
Yeah.
is what happened. And then we got fired.
Right.
I really got
Facebook
fired.
Live.
Yeah.
That was before everybody was doing that too.
No one did it before me.
Yeah, we had like our own little talk show going. Like,
it was awesome. Online, that's where the McFam started.
Yeah, I still know people who met each other through.
Isn't it amazing?
Today. Yeah.
Yep, it's
That's
incredible.
awesome.
So MICFAM on Facebook, the McFam. Join them. Drea, Rocky.
We got to get it going again.
Lisa, they were all so incredible. TJ, remember all them?
Oh yeah,
amazing people.
Yep. I still talk to a lot of them on Facebook. Lisa's come to a few shows.
Lisa, I mention every now and then. I'll see her on Facebook and mention Dre. I talk to. I love her.
Yeah.
Rocky came right back on as soon as I got back on the air.
Nice.
Love those people.
Absolutely, that was a great time.
That was a lot of fun hanging out with you, Mike. And I enjoyed it, man. And you're welcome to come here anytime you want, dude. You got something to promote.
Awesome.
Or you got a friend that you think we'd like to talk to them.
Okay.
You know that.
Need to get something off your chest.
Yeah,
sure.
If you were molested by a nun, that was my luck. Why couldn't it have been a nun?
I don't think that's how it works.
Like, I wanted to be molested. Like I had to get molested by a priest. Like it would have been a nun. It would have been a little easier to comprehend.
You think so?
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to watch a nun masturbate as opposed to a priest?
There's a lot of. Have you seen most nuns? I mean, it's
No,
really
you're right.
not.
We've seen all the nuns.
I will be honest. I'm not going to lie.
Were there cute nuns growing up?
No,
I never saw
zero.
one. But I will say this: the priest was actually better looking than everybody in the convent.
Well, there you go. That's a silver lining.
The priest was a looker.
Sure.
I can say that he was a handsome man.
But he wasn't packing like Coco's guy.
You know what's
He would have
crazy?
been a total package.
You know what's crazy? I don't remember that. I don't remember that part. Like,
oh, okay.
I don't remember.
So we don't know
going,
what's
wow.
going on downstairs.
Right. I don't remember going, wow, look at that. I just kind of was like, I think I
you
froze.
probably
I think,
out.
I do remember this. At the end,
Sure.
I don't know how else to say it. At the end, he
Finale.
just kind of grabbed a napkin, cloth napkin.
Oh, he used one of the cloth napkins.
And over himself
Oh,
and
God.
I guess cleaned himself up, put it away, stood up and said, okay, go ahead back over and set up. And I was like, I'll be over in a little bit.
He
I'm gonna
didn't
give
say
you some
peace be
communion.
with you
No, he
afterwards.
did not say
Okay,
peace be
good.
with you. But he I was going to say, never mind. I'm not that nasty. But you know what? I really hate it because it jaded me
Sure.
through my adulthood. I just despised any form of religion. I thought I remember one time the BAL, Jeff Beauchamp. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was the program director of WBAL, the talk show. And I used to go on with Chip Franklin once a week and Ron Smith.
I remember, yeah.
And on Chip Franklin's show one time, they were talking about something with the Catholic Church. And I said, it was about a little league. The guest was talking about when he was young and he played in the Catholic Little League,
Right.
CYO or whatever that was called back then.
Mhm.
And I basically said, were your coaches priests? And he was like, no, we just have regular baseball coaches. And I was like, cool. So you didn't have any weird moments in the back seat like you would with a priest? And I remember BAL flipped the fuck out.
I'm sure.
And Jeff Beauchamp came in and he's like, what the fuck is... And I go, hey, Jeff,
Wow.
I don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Priests molest kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you can't talk about that on this show. They buy advertising.
Isn't that interesting how you can't talk about the
Well,
church?
because the church
If it
bought
was- if it was-
advertising.
is that why?
It's the Catholic
I
Church
was
of
gonna say,
Baltimore.
if it
On
was-
BAL? Are you kidding?
If it was any other organization, though,
They
people
would've-
would be outside with,
They'd put it on the billboard.
with torches burning the
course.
place down. you
Yeah,
know?
if it would have been the fucking general manager of Dell Computers,
Yeah.
there would have been 20,000 people out front.
Right.
But because it was a priest, we're going to move him to another parish. Like, I don't know. I just,
You ever see that movie Doubt?
yeah.
Great film.
What's the other one?
There was one about the actual scandal.
The
with Michael
Boston
Keaton.
one that De Niro's in.
Don't know if I know that one.
Fuck. I can't think what it's called. I can't think. There's another one called Culpa Mia or Mi Culpa Mia. That's the documentary about this Catholic priest who ended up in Rome. They hit him, and these 5 kids tracked him down as grown men.
Wow.
True story?
And the priest basically fucking denies it to their face.
Wow.
5 men in their 40s
Mm.
that never told each other.
What's this called?
I want to say Culpa Mia, Mi Culpa Mia.
Ruin the
an
movie
Italian-
for me. What
it's a
happened?
Latin. It's a documentary.
Yeah, well, I'm saying ruin it for me.
So
What
that's
happened?
basically it. It starts with these 5 guys basically saying their stories,
Yeah,
and this priest who basically let it all happen. And
I did see this.
Mi Culpa
yeah,
Mia
yeah,
or something like
right.
that.
I did see that.
And then the priest was moved to parish after parish,
Right.
and he kept doing it. And then the Catholic Church, basically, I forget if they put him in Spain or
Yeah.
some fucking weird Nordic country, and he just lived in a cabin in the woods. And these guys, this documentarian, tracked this priest down
Yeah.
and sent these 5 guys, and they knock on his door.
Well, I give the guy credit because he at least sat down with the guy and
Well,
and
he
talked
didn't
on
have a
camera.
choice. He didn't have a choice.
Mm.
He didn't really talk on camera. He came outside there just shooting him.
No, I thought he sat down at a table with one of the guys.
Was it on the porch?
No, it was like inside. It was like inside a restaurant.
Maybe you're
or-
right.
or
I mean,
something.
I had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
about 3/4 of the way through it. I
Yeah,
bailed
right.
because it fucked me up. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
I
bet.
can't watch the end
Yeah.
of this. But yeah, it was bizarre as shit. It was
Yep.
bizarre. It was. I can't believe I talked about it today. I mean, I can't take it back. You know, I wish this was recorded so I could have a chance to think if I really wanted to talk about it.
Well, you need to get it out. It sounds like, man.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure there's a ton of people listening that would sympathize with
Absolutely.
you.
I mean,
It
I
helps
get that.
It helps other people to hear.
But
those
I
things.
also don't want to be like some victim that everybody feels sorry for. I'm fine.
No, I don't, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of
I'm fine.
course.
It fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, I have 3 amazing kids that, you know, I was a good father to. You know, I try to be a good man in person. I fail at times, but not like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and it you know, it's
Yeah.
weird to talk about.
CK had that bit too. That like they must really, really want to do it because everybody on the planet will hate you. You're the most hated person, and yet they keep doing it.
To me, I don't know a worse crime
Yeah.
that you can do to a human being.
No.
I mean, obviously, there's things that physically hurt more. You could set somebody on
Sure.
fire. You could skin them
Sure.
alive. But
Just
mentally,
the innocence and
mentally, to do that to
Well,
a
you ruin
child.
a
and
child's
yet it
life.
happens
Yeah.
all the time.
All the
that's,
time.
That's what blows me away. You know, it's like
Have you guys seen
how
that?
many people have been set on fire versus
Yeah, how
you
many
know,
kids have been diddled?
right?
Yeah, men and women, by the way.
Yeah,
That's the other
absolutely.
sick part. And it's just, I mean, that church has to straighten its shit out. I'm sorry. And I'll say this to the church. Stop with the priests. Let them marry. I mean, a grown man,
I don't
it's
think it
all
has
about
anything to
money.
do with it,
Oh, it
man.
has everything to do with it.
You think if they
disagree.
let a
I
priest
disagree.
marry, he's not going to be a pedophile?
No.
A pedophile is a pedophile.
Hold on.
Whether
You,
they're
you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying you would get better cases of men. You
Oh,
would
maybe.
get the selection of men would be much greater, or women. Why can't a woman be
But
a
it's
priest?
religion. They can't change the rules.
Yes, they can. It's
No,
all
it's God's
fucking
word.
no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No,
that's
it
why there's
isn't.
only been one version of
that's why.
Christianity since
No,
the beginning.
guys, let me educate you here. The Catholic Church,
Yeah, I know.
the Catholic, they used
Yeah.
to be married. Popes were married. Popes had kids.
Well, I
As
know
the
it
church got
happens.
so big, it was so expensive maintaining all of these families with 7, 8 kids all over Europe. Then you're feeding 9 people.
I don't know if that was on the up
Dude,
and up, was it?
what?
I don't think it was legitimate kids. I'm saying legitimate
Oh,
marriages and
there
kids.
were hundreds of years where priests were married, had families. Yeah, I mean, the real history is the real history.
Well, that is kind of unique among Catholicism, right? I mean,
yeah, it's the
other
only denomination.
Christian.
I don't know, man.
leaders-
I think we're gonna look it
I'll
up.
do this
I'm gonna look it
right
up.
I think
You
Mickey's right
talk.
about
I'll
that.
look it up. I'll
Yeah,
look it up.
you talk. I'll look it up.
And they change
I'm sick of
Christianity
talking.
all the time. I mean, it's not like if Christianity never changed, it'd be exactly the same as it was 2,000 years ago. I mean, you had all kinds of different denominations going on.
Well,
you know?
of course, but I'm saying, if you want to be a legitimate religion,
Right.
you can't say God says, and then later on you go, you know what? I don't know that God said that.
12th
That's a-
century.
I don't know that he
mean,
meant that.
I don't know if there's a
You
single
know?
religion that has done that, though. I mean,
There's been
You
religions
ready?
that have reformed a little bit.
Here
Yeah,
we
what
go.
is it? What do you got?
I was pretty much dead on. The universal requirement of celibacy for Catholic priests in the West was not imposed until the 12th century, specifically with the first Lateran Council in 1123, which declared clerical marriages invalid. At that
Wow.
point, that is also when the Knights Templar, within 100 years, fell out with the Catholic Church. It was did you ever watch the Borgia, whatever it was called,
No.
on HBO or Cinemax, one of them?
Nope.
It was all about a pope back then, the Borgia. And I mean, they were scandalous.
Oh, there was crazy
I mean,
Pope
the
stories,
the
man.
popes had orgies.
There's
These
some
men were
wicked
kings.
popes.
They
Did you ever
were-
hear about the female Pope, Pope Joan?
I've never heard about the female pope.
Really? That's a very popular story. A lot of people think it's real, but it's probably
A female
not.
pope.
I
Yeah, you never
cannot
heard of
believe.
Pope Joan?
no.
There's officially a gap in popes in some random year,
Yeah.
1346, to-
Right.
And they can't
There-
figure it out. And some people say it was because there was a female pope and she hid it.
Well, I heard a different version of that breakup when the church split. What happened back then was the church split. There were two factions that could not agree on a pope, and conclave took like 3 years. And during that time, there were people claiming to be pope, and one of them may have been a woman. I don't know.
It's a different story.
Oh, it
than
is?
That. Yeah.
I
okay.
thought you meant that they allowed a woman to be a
No,
pope, but you're saying
no.
that the scandal would be like the conspiracy was that it was really a woman.
Yes,
pretending
who-
to be a man.
Pretending to be a man
Yeah,
who was
okay.
caught, and the Catholic Church
I
was
gotcha.
embarrassed by it. They, from what I've researched, it looks more like it was a kind of a smear campaign from anti-Catholic people.
Yeah,
to
well,
kinda
I
make
mean-
them look silly.
Yeah. And you know what's sad? I mean, the Catholic Church is the first Christian church. It is the true church of Jesus, if you believe it. It was started by St. Peter. It's a fact.
I mean, the Romans are the ones that put the Catholic Church together, and they pieced the Bible together.
But the
Um,
Christianity that we're thinking of didn't start until hundreds of years
Well,
after.
Hold on. The real history of it is that St. Peter started the Catholic Church. He's buried under the Vatican.
right,
And every pope, Mike, I promise, there is literally
The
lineage.
disciple of Jesus, Peter.
Yes, was the first pope.
but well,
that's why
technically,
Jesus
they
literally
didn't
said,
call him a pope.
No,
They-
of course not.
He told him to lead the church.
Jesus said to
Spread the
Peter,
word.
upon this rock, I will build my church. It's calling Peter a rock. Peter then made sure that the rest of the apostles went out and spread the word of Christ.
Yeah,
Peter was then crucified upside down because he said, I do not deserve to die the way my
Yeah.
Lord. By the way, I was molested by a priest and I know all this shit.
yeah.
Like, how fucked up is that? Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
was so into it.
I don't consider myself a Christian, but I find the history of Christianity to be
Well,
really fascinating.
it's the history of Europe.
yeah.
I mean,
But
everybody
I-
forgets that the Catholic Church ran Europe.
I
Yeah.
For
think that a lot of those
100,000
early
years.
stories with Peter and all those are legendary. I don't think they're
Well, I
really not
think-
documented very well. I don't think they
Well,
should be-
Josephus, the very famous,
Yeah, he's
historian.
the oldest surviving mention of Jesus.
which is basically within 4 years of Christ's
No, it's
Yeah.
like 80 years or something.
No, that's the first gospel written. I promise you on this, Mike.
I don't think any of the Gospels were written 4 years afterwards.
No, none of the gospels.
Yeah.
Well, the Gospels didn't know that they were Gospels at the
Until
time. Like, a lot of
years
them are
later.
letters.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
there's the
sure,
compilation of things.
Yeah, but the actual word of Christ that was written down by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and hundreds of others that the Catholic Church won't let us see, that are in the archives. I mean, you don't believe that?
No, I think I don't believe in that history. From what
Wow.
I've researched, everything is pretty much legendary until.
I think that's
until
a
the Romans.
totally, no offense, but that is
I hear you.
That is a completely,
Check out this dude, Bart D. Ehrman.
I know who you're talking about. He's
Yeah.
also one of the most anti-Catholic guys out there.
Maybe.
So he is, and he hates the Catholic Church. And I can't give him credibility because of his open hatred. Now, guys that are completely ambivalent and just do the work,
Right.
that's the guys I listen to.
Uh-huh.
And I do find the history. Most of the countries from about 800 on, their history documents the Pope's actions.
Sure.
So it's
But that's way later.
yeah,
I mean,
but
we're talking like deep.
but the
deep
church
early
didn't even really
Christianity.
get organized till about 400 AD,
right.
when Rome allowed it to
Barely
happen.
anything was written down in the 100 or so years after.
Of
Christ
course,
would have
no.
lived.
I mean, John, the Revelations, he was 90 years old in
and
a
I
cave.
think there's already myths and
Greece.
legends going around within like decades of Jesus's death.
Yeah, I'm not
It
saying
was all word of mouth. I mean, until they eventually wrote it down. I mean, it was.
Right. When
most
they
of them
started writing down,
close
they
to a
got like
century later.
multiple versions of all the stories because they had gone around to so many different churches. They had there was a huge variety of churches just in the first 100 years.
Right.
Some with very, very different beliefs.
no, of course.
There's some who thought that there was multiple gods still, but
Yeah.
like Jesus was the main God. There were
Of
some
course.
who thought that God was literally a gigantic being that could come
yeah,
down.
of course. I mean, I've heard all of it.
Yeah.
But I
There's
mean,
even a version
do you
of the
believe
cave story
Jesus lived?
where the cross
Yeah.
walks out of the cave
out of the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you believe Jesus lived?
after the crucifixion?
No. Do you believe Jesus was a real
I
person?
do think he existed.
Yeah. Do you think he existed, Matt?
Yeah, I think he was at least a man who lived 2,000
I think he was
years ago,
one of
who
many
made a
people
lot
who-
of noise
Right.
and
Yeah.
was crucified.
I don't think he was that big of a deal though when he was around. I think it was more what happened afterwards.
Well, Josephus, I'm saying his name right? Is
Yeah,
it Josephus?
Josephus, yeah.
Yeah, Josephus basically says I'm paraphrasing because of my ignorance in language. However, he basically said that a rebel from
Right,
Jerusalem
right, yeah,
had caused Rome to take notice
right.
and rallied other Jews and non-secular people
Mhm.
to his beliefs, which enraged the Pharisees because they started losing control
Right.
of the message. You know, the Pharisees were the main Jews. They were the popes of the Jews, right? So they were basically like, we don't like this dude. He's telling us we're full of shit. So they went to Rome and were like, help us. He's getting our own people to hate us. So Pontius Pilate comes in, says, what do you want to do? And the fucking crowd went, kill Jesus, let Barabbas go. And they killed Jesus. And granted, surely legends can be born from that.
Yeah,
That's a pretty dope life to live
But honestly,
when you take on Rome.
I think what you're saying itself is probably somewhat part of the legend. I don't know. I don't think it was that big of a deal. He literally had 20 followers because they didn't count the women. It was 12 men and women.
Well, that was the disciples. I mean, when he showed up into Jerusalem,
but if you have
he
a
was
doomsday
followed
cult
by
with 20
thousands.
people.
Well, there's a lot of people that think that the women were the one who supported these men, who financed the
I mean,
apostles.
I
the
think
same
Jesus-
way the strippers financed the glam metal guys in the 80s. Every behind the
They all
music.
had
I
long
see
hair,
it.
man.
what a great line.
Same hair.
Mary Magdalene was the original, night shift stripper. By the way, what a bad story that lady got, Mary Magdalene.
Oh, awful.
She was
It
never a
completely
whore.
made up. No,
She was never a
probably,
whore.
She was probably, some accounts.
I believe she
the
was
Gospel of
Jesus'
Thomas
girlfriend.
says it was Jesus'
Right.
wife or
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Side piece.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of people think she came from a wealthy family who
Well-
financed their whole mission.
Yeah.
What was her role in the Jesus
So
story?
Mary Magdalene was the whore that Jesus. I'm
No,
not making
that's
this
not
up.
in the Bible. though. That
because
is not
he hung
even
out
in
he
the
hung
Bible.
out with like the prostitutes and the
No,
and
yeah,
poor
but
people and
listen, the Catholic Church made
Invented
up
her.
that story about her being a prostitute.
Correct.
That's not even in the Bible.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah.
so what if she was? I mean,
Well, the
Jesus
mo-
hung out with the people that everybody else looked
I
down
mean,
on.
Matthew was
Well,
a tax collector and was hated by the Jew. He was a Jew and he was a tax collector.
Right.
And he went to dinner at Matthew's house, and his disciples are like, what the fuck are you doing? He's a tax collector. Literally. And
That's the
Jesus,
exact quote from Romans 35:16.
yeah. And Jesus basically said, I sit with the sinners.
Right. Right.
I'm here to save.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not here to meet
He
people.
was cool with everybody. He was welcoming, and that's probably what part of why his church went so viral. They were so open to everybody, and
Yeah, man.
anybody could be forgiven.
Yeah, I mean, he basically, if you want to paraphrase Jesus into like one sentence, here it is: do unto others
Right.
as you do unto yourself. Right? He basically told everyone in the world,
Right.
doesn't matter who you
Right.
are, where
Which
you're
was
from.
kind of a new concept. Before
Totally,
that,
love each other.
gods were generally like warrior
Of
gods.
course.
It's
Yeah.
about like taking from the group next to you. It's like
Absolutely.
rewarding us and not them.
Well, in
Like,
that culture,
Well,
it was.
Jesus' philosophy is very Eastern. If you really start looking at some of the
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
he said,
Oh,
And-
massively
and,
Eastern
there's a
influence.
massive chunk of history between when he was 12 and, of course, when he was 33 before
Yeah.
he died.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that he spent some time in the Middle East
Right, and
or India.
learned
with a lot
about
of-
Krishna or Buddha.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think it's more like a sign of the times that gods like that were popping up, and people were understanding like love thy neighbor. I think honestly a big part of it was they realized it's more profitable to trade with your neighbor
Of
than
course.
to murder them and take
But I
their
think
stuff.
the bigger message for Jesus was simply to stop judging people. That
Yeah.
was his thing. Like he looked around at the way people treated each other based on class, based on weight, based on looks, based on origin, based on ethnicity, whatever it was that made you unique. Everybody judged each other in those days. Color of your skin.
Right.
Why do you think that there's
kind
a
of
black
loincloth you're wearing.
Yeah, all that. Why do you think there was a black man specifically chosen to be the one to carry the cross for Christ? Right. So Simon, who did that, was a black man, and he was not a Jew. He had I don't know his religious history, but he carried the cross for Christ. And basically, in that theology or philosophy is that we're all in it together. It doesn't matter who
Let's
you
be
are.
real. Jesus was probably dark-skinned himself.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah,
Jesus
he's
looked like
Middle
Yasser Arafat.
Right.
He did
He's a
not.
little younger.
But
He wasn't.
all right, he looked like a 23.
Was Yasser Arafat ever young?
Like, right,
you
he
ever
was
remember
old
seeing
in
him?
1973 when he came into power or whatever it was.
I
That's
know.
funny.
I look at someone like that and I think if someone who looks like that can make it, I've got a shot.
Yeah, if Yasser Arafat can be the head of the PLO, Mike. It's been a weird episode. Mike, I'm so
we
glad.
went from Mickey confessing the absolute.
I didn't confess shit. I didn't do anything wrong.
No, I'm not saying you
Oh,
are at
I'm
all.
kidding.
At all.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm saying we had this like beautiful releasing therapeutic moment
Yeah.
from Mickey.
Yes.
My good friend Mickey.
Yeah, Nikki. I've spent years with Nikki. Go ahead, Don. Yeah, it was weird. Like the show just went from, I don't even know how it started. I
Because
can't.
we're talking about his confessional podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, you were on it. I said, did you confess anything?
Oh, that's how it started.
And, so I was probably it was all my fault.
Oh man!
Went
Well,
off the
if,
rails.
if I had named it like two dudes talking or something, this would have never happened.
I'm going to start a podcast called "Did a Priest Make You Watch?" See how many other people.
You gotta
come on.
review Batman films on it.
I do want to say this at the end of the show here. To the listeners, I never. My mind is a weird thing, and Matt, I apologize to you if the show was uncomfortable in any way.
No,
Mike saying
it was
you're my
probably
guest.
pretty compelling.
I don't know.
We'll look at the comments later.
I'm really afraid to even look at the comments right now. I can't look at
I
them.
wouldn't even worry about it, man.
Yeah. But I will say this, I'm okay with it. It still fucks with you,
Sure.
something happens,
Of course.
It did feel good to say it publicly because I've always I knew I was going to do it. I knew I couldn't control them. There's also one other thing I'm going to talk about one day, but it's nothing like this. It's just something I want to talk about. And but this today was it was interesting, and I don't know why it just flew out of me. But it did, and thank you guys very much.
Yeah,
I'm glad it was you two.
I'm glad I was here for this.
Me
for real.
too, Mike.
I
I
think
don't
this was a
think-
pivotal moment in your life.
Well, I think you being here helped.
Good.
I
Good,
swear.
man.
I find
People
it's-
say that to me. That's part of why I do the.
You're an
confessional.
amazing
You know,
dude, man.
Even when I was doing Uber drives,
Yeah.
people would say things to me.
Yeah.
They knew they could be vulnerable with me. And
Yeah,
have those
that's the
discussions.
word. You're very good at allowing someone to be vulnerable.
Thank you.
Because you just listen. You listen, and then you'll go, well, and then maybe you'll offer an opinion, or did you ever think about this? And even if I go, no, it's not like that, you go, okay. It's just really good to talk to you, Mike.
Thank you,
And
man. You
Matt,
too.
you're a lot like that as well, my friend.
Well, thanks, man. That's
And-
a big compliment.
Well, it's also very I feel bad because I never shut the fuck up, and I just keep talking, and you guys keep listening, and that part for me is hard. But thank you
Of course.
for letting me get through that. That
And look, two of us, we're gonna go get the lawyer and we're gonna fund this podcast.
yeah. Well, I was,
Vatican City is going to be paying for Nikki Talks.
I
from here on
think
out.
about.
Brought to you by
Here's the
the
thing.
Pope.
Here's the thing.
Brought to you by God.
Here's
Yeah,
the
so-
thing I must say after saying all that about the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And this will shock people, but I'm a realist. I cannot name another organization in the history of man that has done more good than the Catholic Church.
Well, the people have. Let's
That's
say
what
that.
I'm saying.
The
Catholics.
the people, yes.
And even that church.
What about
I mean,
Hooters.
and whoever invented yoga pants, that guy's third on the list,
Right.
or lady. But you
Yeah,
know
I
what?
hear you. I think the vast majority of Christians, the vast majority of people in general,
Are great.
Yeah. And the vast majority of individuals are more good than bad.
Yeah.
Within the single individual.
Yeah.
Christianity's done a lot of great things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Christian. They've done some bad things. I think overall, though, people who are Christians have done amazing things
Yeah.
and continue to.
But I will go one step further. I mean, the Catholic Church has been salvation for millions. I
Yeah.
mean, they have financed countries.
Yeah.
Like, people don't really know the history of what they actually are in the good way. So all I want to say to the Catholic Church is I hope you get your shit together.
Right.
I hope this American Pope addresses some shit that the rest of us look at and go, seriously? Like, come on, man. Like, it's bizarre.
Yeah,
And I hope they straighten it out
it
because
needs top-down reform.
yeah,
from the top down.
I will tell you, most of the kids I went to school with are amazing people as adults.
Sure.
And the education was good. I didn't take advantage of it because I was an asshole. Wasn't their fault. The concept of, prayer is good. I don't mind people that pray. If nothing else, you're self-reflecting.
I actually kind of do it, even though I don't really feel like I'm praying to anything. I think it's a good mental practice.
Absolutely.
And it's, and it's also good for me, even if I don't necessarily believe in God. I'm pretty agnostic. I still think I'll ask myself, if there is a God, what would God likely tell me, in any given situation?
No, I hear you, man. And for those watching today, I hope you don't feel differently about me. And no, I will not watch you.
Just lost half your listeners.
I was talking to the men.
I don't think anybody.
I was talking to the men only
about you.
I was talking to the men only. If there's a lady out there, no, I'm kidding. No, you know what I mean. It's a hard thing to just say to 6,000 people.
Sure.
Of course, man. That took guts, especially in a public forum.
I don't even know why I did it. That's the part where I'm sitting here right now.
Cathartic, man.
I'm going, why did I do this? Right now, I'm literally.
You needed to get it off your chest.
I guess, man.
And the time was right.
Well, I'm so glad it was you two. I really am.
I'm glad too. Then, yeah,
absolutely.
I want to end this show other way than fucking. So get us out of this, Matt.
We have a sponsor for our new feature. We have to at least do.
Yes, Matt's Music Minute.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, brought to us by the great people at Natalie's Seafood. And for those of you wondering, yep, it's official. They are a sponsor. We now have our second sponsor. Will you look at my microphone?
Yeah, I don't. Man. You've had a problem with that, haven't you?
I've just had a day, Matt.
Yeah,
I've had a fucking day, buddy. Let me see if I. Let me see if I can fix. Just go. Matt's
been a really interesting show here, man.
Natalie's Seafood.
Seafood in Falston.
The best.
Come see us. We're going to be there every Friday, actually. So if you drop by this Friday, we're going to be out on the Tiki Deck. We've got John Allen that's going to drop by and be our guest. John from Child's Play, SR71, Stone Horses.
Yeah.
And of course, the food out there is absolutely delicious. And what is it's on Bel Air Road? I'm not sure.
It's right at Mountain Road and Route 1.
Yeah.
Right in Falston. Right in that big shopping center on the right if you're heading north. They're amazing. The food's incredible. Everything you just said.
You feel like you're in the Caribbean hanging out on that deck.
That tiki deck.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's going to be the hottest place in Harford County in the summer.
Yeah,
I know.
They're doing great.
Incredible. All right, Matt's Music Minute. Then we're getting out of here.
All right, geez. Are we going to talk about the Diddy trial, or do we need to skip
Hell
this
yeah,
one
no,
for
let's
today?
do it.
Talk about it?
Yeah, all the diddling we've been talking about. This makes sense.
Yeah, so Diddy, day 3, Cassie testifies more. So Cassie Ventura dropped some more bombshells in her second day of testimony. She told jurors about the freak-off parties Diddy got her to participate in, and she said that they eventually devolved into pornography shoots. She then recounted that Diddy would threaten to release those videos if she ever disobeyed him. Cassie added that with Diddy essentially in control of her career, she feared that crossing him would ruin her professionally and personally. She testified, "I just feared for my career. I feared for my family. It's just embarrassing and disgusting. Nobody should do that to anyone."
Hey, I know how she feels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Other problems from the parties, Cassie would develop painful urinary tract infections and sores on her mouth from the amount of performers that she was with.
Jesus Christ.
She also revealed that Diddy settled her lawsuit against him for $20 million in 2023. In the suit, she accused him of raping her, physically abusing her, and forcing her to have sex with male prostitutes while he watched. He vehemently denied the accusations the day she filed the suit, but settled the very next day. And then, man, listen to what happened. She said that in 2018, after Cassie had finally split from Diddy, she said that they met and had a conversation for closure, but then he drove her home and raped her on her living room floor. Yeah.
Oh. Jesus. I mean, that guy is just a fucking animal. I hope he is ass raped every day, 3 times a day, right before he eats. And then he's got to eat and sit down. And he's a. Oh.
And they definitely didn't let him bring all that lube into prison. So.
Do you think that Do you think that he's going to like pull an OJ and get through this thing?
No,
He's got a huge law team.
it doesn't
I
matter.
feel like public perception is against him.
Listen, it's one thing to kill a woman, right? Out of rage and jealousy. There's one thing to do that. But to beat, rape, and sexually molest a woman and then let other men do it, it's worse than murder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can understand a man's wife banging another dude and he snaps and kills everybody.
You ruin somebody's life.
But when you do what P. Diddy did and let that woman live and then keep her a prisoner in
It's
it,
torture.
it's beyond murder.
Yeah.
It's worse. I think. I do. Maybe
It's
I'm wrong.
psychological and physical torture.
Yeah.
I mean, both.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we were talking yesterday.
The victim suffers less in murder, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, in some cases.
That's what I mean.
In some cases.
You're dead. You're not suffering.
Right.
And that's a horrible. I sound callous and heartless saying it, but I know what I mean. Like I would much rather end up dead at the hands of someone than raped, tortured, brutalized, sexually trafficked for years. Yeah, I'll take the death every time.
Wow. We mentioned yesterday that the trial is not going to be shown on TV or live stream just because it's a federal case.
Yeah.
And they've got a law against that, having any cameras or anything. So if you want us to cover it, we can be your play-by-play.
Yeah, I'll give updates.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to do, updates on this trial.
100% agree.
Yeah.
All for it, buddy.
So the Foo Fighters have announced their first 2025 show. This will be the first concert since Dave Grohl went public last year about fathering a child outside of his marriage.
I'm over them, by the way.
Yeah.
I was never a huge Foo Fighters fan. I mean, I think Dave Grohl's a genius.
They have a handful of good songs, but
yeah, that's what I mean.
They have like this almost legendary status now
because they were the only ones.
Yeah, I do like their love and respect for other bands.
Yeah, absolutely. And how
they'll bring somebody that hardly anyone's ever heard of on stage, or bring back someone who hasn't been on stage for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Grohl's a real rock star.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that guy. The band, it was a little too. I don't know the word. I mean. Like Monkey Wrench, I think is awesome.
Everlong's a great song.
Everlong's a great song.
They have a few bangers, but
yeah,
overall,
I hear
there's another kind of post-grunge.
It's becoming a bit formula for the band. I
Bingo.
think.
They're gonna have a coffee.
I like a lot of their stuff. They probably are gonna have a coffee.
Yeah.
I like a lot of their stuff, but I kind of feel like you, I got enough Foo Fighters for the moment.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I mean, I got kind of soured on the situation with Dave and fathering the child because he was such an upstanding guy. He was known as the coolest guy in rock and roll.
Yeah, he was the guy that every rock star should be.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be that guy. I'm never that guy.
What, the coolest guy in rock and roll?
Yeah, like I'm never. I got my shit.
I would say you have a pretty good reputation as far as like younger comedians, and
that's nice to hear. I
mean, being cool,
sure.
Not being pretentious.
Mean that. I mean, like I'm not going out and banging 50 women.
Right.
I'm not going to be.
Oh, you're saying you would never be the guy who ruins his reputation.
I would never be the guy that pretends that I'm not capable of fucking shit up.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I know I can make a mistake tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really try my best and I'm pretty good at it. Not hurting people I love. Sometimes I do. I'm human. But I think when you wear that badge of like, I'm a family man, I'm a rock and roll guy.
So look, first of all, he was a legend because he came from Nirvana.
Yeah, who I hate.
And then he went on to front arguably the biggest alternative band of the 90s,
hands down,
with great songs.
Who's bigger than the Foo Fighters?
Yeah,
I mean
Pearl Jam, maybe that's it.
Soundgarden,
nowhere near.
Chains.
Nowhere near.
Who's
really?
packing arenas? If you talk about rock artists, even right now, who can pack an arena?
They have had a longevity that we haven't seen with a lot of the other 90s grunge
That's
bands.
what we're talking about. Like they lasted.
Foo Fighters at their height, I don't think was anywhere close to
Pearl Jam at their height. Oh, but they're way bigger than Bush.
I mean,
they are now.
Yeah, headliners for sure. There's no other.
I mean, they've been doing arenas for 20 years.
Yeah,
they have their longevity is certainly impressive,
and that the amount of success for that long. It's not like they're playing theaters now and they're still around.
Right. Yeah,
they're doing fucking.
I just if you put a list of the biggest '90s alt bands, I don't even know if they'd be on the top 10. Like as far as
Foo Fighters,
they'd be in the top 5 every list.
Yeah.
I'll do this. All right, here's an idea.
So my point, you do that a while. My point was he came from Nirvana. He was from a big 90s alternative
Sure.
rock band that had a lot of great hits on the radio and MTV at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then, he was just a goofy, fun guy that everybody loved. So he had this image of being fun and funny and treated his fans and people really well.
Sure.
You ready?
And then he cooks for his whole staff. He
Right.
brings the grill
He's
on
almost
tour.
the Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
of
you're like,
rock
oh my
and roll.
God, I love
Right.
this
Keanu
guy.
Reeves.
He can do no wrong.
Right.
And then this happens, and you're like, what?
Here it is. The top 5 bands of the 90s. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Smashing Pumpkins, and Foo Fighters.
That makes sense. Yeah.
As far as what, record sales?
I get they just said basically the 5 biggest bands of
To
the
me,
90s
they feel
based
like
on
another,
influence, popularity, and critical acclaim.
Right. To me, they just feel like another post-grunge band that
Like
has
every one
somehow
of those
done pretty
bands.
well and stayed alive.
Yeah, but I think Dave, like as a musician, he was considered the best drummer
Right.
of his day.
He has personality. He has
And he
charisma.
came out front with a guitar and smokes that, can sing his ass off,
They wrote great songs.
wrote great songs. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
without a doubt. Let's do one more, Matt. I'm starting to
All right.
not know how this night's going to go.
We can either talk about let's talk about this. Bands like Coldplay, Elton John, they're among 400 artists who are seeking protection from AI. So Coldplay and Elton John went head to head with UK's Prime Minister to take action in enforcing copyright laws related to artificial intelligence. So a letter addressed to Keir Starmer and signed by 400 British musicians, writers, and artists warns that they'll be effectively giving away their work to technology companies without property copyright protection.
Wow.
So, Dua Lipa, Paul McCartney, Kate Bush, Florence Welch, they're all on board with this. This comes after the House of Lords voted an amendment to a bill that would require AI developers to disclose which copyrighted materials they use to train their models. So
Wow.
you can't just plug in Elton John without him getting paid for it or without his permission, which is,
So
It's pretty wild.
It's not just like if they're using one of his songs to make a remix or something like that. It's for any type of
no, they're like
information.
This is what
Right,
rock
right,
music should
right.
sound like, and they're
Okay.
training their AI so
Yeah.
that when I go to create an AI song,
Sure.
it's pulling from Elton John and all this intellectual property
Huh.
that they don't get paid for.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's AI scares the shit out of me. It really does.
Yeah.
What it's going to do to art is pathetic. I mean, and I hope people are
what
smart
it's
enough.
already done. I mean,
Yeah, but
Hopefully
I-
people still want human
Well,
made
what's
stuff.
going to happen, and trust me, it's going to have a 5 to 10 year run, and then people are going to go, all right, I want a human to make it.
Right.
I don't know, man.
I disagree.
I think.
I think
mean,
it depends on what it is. I think people will always want the human touch to some degree. I mean, people thought that when the record player came out, that was the end of live music. You know what I mean?
I think computers and AI at some point are going to get so good that they're going to know the formula of what people love to listen to.
Yeah, but if you don't have anyone behind that, it's not the same.
I mean, this is first gen and it's almost there. But,
No, what I mean
think
is-
people want human connection.
That's what
you
I'm
know?
talking about.
well,
If it's not
of
a
course. But what I'm saying to you is,
the bands
Matt
will,
Davis,
Right.
who has no musical ability to write a great song,
right, has AI write
I
one
have
for you.
AI,
Yeah.
and I go out and that's my song now.
Well, do you
know?
think? I mean, I think if the artist came out and said, "Hey, AI wrote all my songs. I'm going to come perform them in your town," I think people may accept that. I think what's going to happen is artists are going to be full of shit, and they're going to
They
take
already
Of
off.
course, they already are.
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of them are already stealing from each
Yeah.
other. I mean, that's existed for years and years.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, man, let's get out of here. I'm mentally drained, man.
You look mentally drained.
I
today,
just,
dude.
it was one of those, man. Like this show today was going to stick
Yeah.
with me. Pretty weird, you know.
It was a good show, though, Mick. I don't
But
want
to
you
have
think this
Mike
was-
here and you,
Yeah.
Matt, and talk about it have made it great. So
Awesome.
thank you both.
Of
To the
course.
listeners, sorry about all the religion and molestation talk. That's not normally what the show is about, and we don't like to put those two things together usually. But to those of you that stayed with me and watched, thank you.
I think the show is about interesting stuff.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both feel the same way about it. But it is freaking weird, man. And to everybody else, please subscribe to YouTube. We're at 625. We need another 375 people, and we can start getting paid.
Nice.
All you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube page.
Yeah, it's youtube.com/@MickeyTalksPod.
The @ symbol
Yeah.
at Mickey Talks.
I'm going to
Pod.
do that right now.
Mickey
Thank
with
you.
an E.
I'll give you a QR code. Makes it way easier,
Okay.
Mike. Everybody, thank you. I love you all. Thanks for putting up with my weird story today.
We'll see you at Natalie's tomorrow.
Natalie Seafood Live, 5 p.m. from Falston. Take it easy, everybody. We love you. See you guys.